Okay, so Vegeta and Trunks versus SYN. Now we want to make sure that we are getting them not a lot of build up nice and early. There's so many units that we want to get built up early on this team as well, which... Okay, so we do this. I suppose we need to get you guys built up before the AGL phase, so putting them in slot 2 on this setup's probably better, because then at least Birdcoo, when we get to the AGL phase, he'll be perfectly fine to get built up. Now, the one downside to using them in any of these difficult events is that, right? This is a unit that gets hit multiple times, builds up defense, then they stack defense with their 18 key super, so if the first attack they take in slot 1 on the first turn is a super, then obviously they don't tank. Like, their tanking is not exactly impressive, right? 200k. There definitely are units that you could run that you put in slot 1 on turn 1 and they don't take that much damage, but the trade-off is going to be when we get to the end and when they're, you know, fully built up, how much damage are they taking then is kind of what we really want to see, right? Because especially this early on, when super attacks are the only thing that are really going to deal damage to you, we have a lot of ability to just recover from that, right? Like healing from same type orbs and stuff like that. So it's perfectly fine, you know? But yeah, get the GT duo as built up as we can early on. And then obviously if we can use their active skill, also their standby a bit later on, that's going to be a really good turn. Like if we can get to the physical phase and have Vegeta and Trunks in slot 1 pretty nicely built up and then get the standby into the GT Vegeta, not only do they link very well, obviously Vegeta and Trunks get that massive attack boost, and then it's like impossible for us to die as well. So actually, yeah, they definitely get more links. So one thing as well, so I'm using the Kai Goku on this team. He's a unit that, you know, he only has guard for the first certain number of turns. You definitely want him to get built up before you get to the very end. But the one thing about Vegeta and Trunks that I feel like people forget a lot is people will say that, like, oh, you know, Vegeta and Trunks is a unit, you have to run them in slot 1. Like, they have to go in slot 1 all the time, every turn. But the thing is, they start, when they get their buff from their entrance animation, they have guard for a certain number of turns, and then once that runs out, then they only have guard in slot 1. So on this turn, even though we've put them in slot 2, they do still have guard. And of course, I put them in slot 2 and that's where the super is. Ho ho ho, there you go. Well, we get the dodge, so you know. Then we get those hits in, start getting built up a little bit. Physical Bardock is a unit that definitely could sell for us later on. He has to take the full brunt of one attack before he then gets his guard and then defense boost. So let's do this. I guess we'll let Gohan get some build up here as well, because the GT duo are looking okay now, and we'll get them floated off so they're not on rotation for the AGL phase. But there you go. So this Vegeta and Trunks is fully built up now in terms of taking hits. And then, of course, we just want to get as many 18 key supers as we can. So, yo, shout out to Prof for the tier 1 sub over on the Twitch side. I appreciate you. 6.83 for Gohan. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's interesting because Vegeta and Trunks, considering it's like Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and then Super Saiyan Trunks, and they're both Vegeta family units, their best linking partners are like the Super Saiyan Gokus and LR Gohan, because obviously they have very similar link set. They're mostly like their best link partners, which is kind of funny. Alright, so this is a good opportunity to get some build up here for all of these guys, although yeah, we'll have to grab these because I do want them to be getting the 18 key. That's something you do have to bear in mind that I think is very important, is you do need to get the 18 key supers with Vegeta and Trunks, because like a lot of units, like the Tech Carnival Goku here as well, they only stack defense on their 18 key super. So if you're getting a bunch of turns early on in the event where you're not getting 18 key supers with them, then obviously by the time you get to the end of the event and the boss is at the hardest point, they haven't stacked up any defense, so obviously they are going to perform considerably worse in that scenario. So here, super... oh, they dodged that as well. I mean, yeah, I'll take 0 damage instead of... I don't think they would have taken that much. I was interested to see how much that would be, obviously, because with their passive built up and then getting the additional 12 key super, which raises defense for the turn, they should have tanked that pretty reasonably, but yeah, Goku building up here. We need Goku to get hit, what is it, 5 times to get the extra defensive buff, and then it's 9 times for the attack buff. Definitely want that defense buff before we get to physical Omega, because his AoEs certainly will be hurting Kai Goku if he's not got that build up yet. So right, so let's do this. Get the AGL orb for Gohan, and then the physical orb for Bardock. Start getting the Dokkan gauge built up a little bit here, as well as getting some heals. I mean, 8 million with support for a unit that is, you know, very strong defensively, I think is pretty decent. 5.3 mil crit, okay. The one thing I do notice with them a lot is the fact that okay, they get one now, as I say that, of course. I do feel like the additionals for their passive very often are just normals for me, but then of course there you go, on that turn we get the super, we got some crits, so they actually did a pretty respectable amount of damage for that turn as well, to be fair. I'm still mad that Trunks transforms into Super Saiyan Rage in the intro and yet they're not on Power Beyond Super Saiyan. Yeah, for some reason even the actual Trunks like that have that form, like just in the art and everything, oh, Bardock. Well, at least he had his guard, but I suppose that opens up nicely for us to have the active skill. Oh god, we've got all the active skills. How do I want to play this out? They have 500k defense now on this turn. I kind of want to keep this rotation, but like I want so many things out of this showcase. It's not so much a challenge. This is just a showcase of Vegeta and Trunks versus SYN. So I want to keep this rotation because I want to use the standby for these guys to get the attack boost for Vegeta and Trunks, but I don't necessarily want to use it on this turn. Although I suppose if I do this, right, activate the standby, Vegeta and Trunks get the attack buff, and then we obviously aren't going to die because between Vegeta and Trunks attacking and then GT Vegeta attacking, we will kill SYN, right? And he's not AoEing until after these guys have attacked. So the only way this goes wrong here is if he attacks, if both Vegeta and Trunks and then GT Vegeta don't kill SYN here, because then he attacks GT Vegeta and kills him, which we don't want. So, plus I don't want to heal too much because I want to use the active skill with Vegeta and Trunks on the next turn as well. So I have to be very careful because their active skill can be used at 50% or less HP. So I need to not pick up any same type orbs here. So we'll do this. Although actually, are we low enough? Are we going to get the heal from Kai Goku? I think we actually might at the end of the turn. Alright, so their defense is at 500k. Obviously they get guard. They get a boost to their defense in slot 1 as well. Because if you're using them in slot 1, they get extra attack and defense. 9.28. So that's pretty good. Do we need the additionals to finish him off, or are they going to take him out here? Okay, well, they just get a crit and it's GG. Okay, well, good stuff. Alright, so now we can test out the active skill. Oh, and we get the revive as well. Perfect. Oh, this... Actually, that's not good for the potential Spirit Bomb, but... Alright, so the active skill for Vegeta and Trunks is another reason why they are super good. So it can be activated when all allies attacking in the same turn are future from turn 3, or when HP is 50% or less from turn 5. Massively raises attack temporarily, does ultimate damage to the enemy, and then within the same turn, all attacks become crits, raise all allies' defense by 20% for 1 turn. Now, 20% doesn't sound like a lot, but because it's an active skill, it is a multiplicative buff. So if we look at their defenses now, we're at what, 470, 270, and then 310. So let's go ahead and use their active skill. Make sure, yeah, the skip is not on. And then we'll go ahead and use... Actually, if we use it in slot 1, does it count as them being in slot 1 for getting their extra defense? I assume it does, right? So, plus they don't get any extra links by being in the middle, so... I do love, one of the things I love about this animation is it's like Mai, Bulma, Yajirobe, and then random soldier dudes. I love the fact that they're in it. Shout out to those guys. Cameo in the active skill of the unit that came out and was the best unit in the game. Alright, so we get the crits. So we're getting crits all turn now for them. And then when we look at our defenses now for everybody, they're now at 590. And then, yeah, Carnival Goku at 340 and AGL Gohan at basically 400. So very, very good. So we'll go ahead and get the same type orbs now. I could use the active skill with Goku because it will remove one of the AoE attacks. So that's probably not a terrible idea either, to be honest. Let's go ahead and do that. You scum! Alright, so yeah, active skills that have an action break are super good for SYN, because in situations like this, where he's doing an AoE in slot 1, then it's just like, nope, sorry, no AoE, thank you. Alright, so here we go. So AoE 1, see you later. AoE 2, yeah. What does Goku take? Ooh, he still takes 227. Because obviously he doesn't have guard anymore. Oh, and of course Gohan didn't have guard on this turn either. So I think, unfortunately, we probably are going to die, which is a little bit scary when it comes to the situation with GT Vegeta, because then if he dies, we don't revive, so... Ooh. Yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. So let's get the revive here with Goku. I think this actually does mean that we lose now. Because the amount that we revive with Carnival Goku also means that we won't have enough, we won't be low enough on HP to use the other Vegeta and Trunks active skill. Yeah, in my opinion, standby revive should be separate from normal revives. I kind of agree, but then at the same time, I do see why the revive is limited, right, to one character per thing. Because obviously, as more characters revive with revive start to come out, like if the standby one was considered a separate thing, being able to revive twice, as long as you bring one unit that has a standby revive and one unit that has a normal revive, then you're like, it's almost like impossible for you to ever lose, right? Oh, they came, okay, interesting. I've actually never seen this interaction before. So did they just automatically come out of the standby because somebody else revived? Because we only used it on the previous turn, so in theory they should still be in it, but they came out of it, which if that is a mechanic that they put in, right, to save you from exactly those scenarios, then that is actually genius. But I've never seen that interaction before, but I can only assume that that is why that happened, right? That's genius. Yeah, someone said, since when is that a thing? Well, yeah, apparently that is a thing. So what's the slot 1 super doing to our boys here? 285. Now, that's slot 1 before they attack, so that's actually really good. The only problem is, I'm pretty sure Bardock gets us killed now. Because unfortunately, as already said, Bardock, the first attack he takes of the turn, he has to take the full force, and then he gets guard, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's really good then. That's actually a great design on that mechanic. Because it would have been nice to have the extra attack support, but then we would have just died, right? So it is a shame that we are just going to die anyway, right? Because even with all their attacks that they can now do, we're not going to finish off SYN with the LR GT duo. But yeah, now that they've introduced that thing with the 23rd World Tournament Goku, where other characters reviving can activate your passive, I think that's something that we should see going forwards for like all units. But yeah, Bardock unfortunately taking the L. Minato out there celebrating, I'm sure, celebrating his downfall. He hates physical Bardock, and he did let us down in that run. But I mean, Vegeta and Trunks definitely looking good. I think they are still a solid unit. They still lead one of the best teams in the game, right? Bond of Parent and Child is still probably one of the best categories. So there you go. Probably could have run someone else other than Bardock. The problem I do find with their team is that because you can run so many of the really powerful units, if you go through the event too quickly, then that is kind of a downside for them because they don't get to build up as quickly, right? Like, the longer the event runs, the more Vegeta and Trunks can build up. And as long as you're not dropping below the HP threshold to lose, like, guard, then units that you're running next to them, like Gohan or Carnival Goku, they're also building up more and more as well. So yeah, if I'd replaced Bardock, like originally in the team build, I was going to use Physical God Goku, and he would have probably just dodged the attacks that Bardock took damage from. But then he probably also would have popped off and done like 3 supers every time he was on the rotation, which means we would have got to the final phase a lot quicker. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of Vegeta and Trunks. I still think they are a very good unit. It's crazy to think they are almost a year old and still definitely very usable. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.